we're all in the storytelling business, and I think that's the challenge that a lot of new salespeople encounter, is the fact that they're always trying to sell their product. I mean, I notice this on social media where people are posting about their product all day long, kind of ad nauseum. All day long, they want people, buy my product, do this, do that, versus actually building their story and creating a story and creating their brand. And do you see that a lot?
All the time, all the time, especially with the startups I'm dealing with. I'm working with a lot of startups out of the university. So they're technology experts, subject matter experts in the science. They did not go to school to get their PhD to become salespeople, but they find themselves having to be in that position to, at the very least, raise capital, bring talent on board, and then get their new products and services out there.
Well, I'm excited to have this conversation with you because I've been in the sales business for 25 years, and so I'm excited to have some feedback. But I do want to, and I always like to do this, I want to go back into your past a little bit, and I want to talk about your story and where you were raised, where were you born, and I know you're in Canada now, in Edmonton, right, Canada now, and I love Canada, by the way, but where were you born?
Well, I came to Canada as a 5-year-old from India. Well, a small stop in London, England. I went to kindergarten in London, and we moved all over the place. My dad was an X-ray technician. Moved all over the place in India as well. Right, I think I had 13 homes by the time I was 8 or 9 years old. Right, just bouncing around because he was going from hospital to hospital working. We ended up London, then straight. He could go anywhere in Canada he wanted during that time. In 1968, we ended up in Ponoka, Alberta, which is a 5,000 person town just south of the capital of Alberta here, Edmonton. So 60 miles away, and great place to live. Because it was small. We used to know everybody and their dog, for blocks and blocks and blocks. Fabulous little community. But I eventually came up to university in Edmonton here and never left.
So tell me though, I want to dig a little bit deeper. What kind of kid were you? Were you an extrovert, an introvert? Obviously, you sound very intelligent. I mean, were you always the smart kid, or did you get good grades, bad grades? Dig a little deeper with me.
Okay, well, if we're going to go that direction, as you can tell, I'm an introvert. You can definitely see that, right? No, I'm joking, obviously, but I remember a teacher telling me in grade 6, "You are a great salesperson," and I said, "Really? What does that mean?" But apparently, I had some innate skills around being able to sell and such, right? And I think I'd always considered myself smart, but if you eventually wise up into your adult years, you realize that only gets you so far, and it might get you into more trouble than anything else from an arrogance point of view, right? So from that perspective, I hung out with the drama club kids in high school, the pseudo intellectual crowd that thought we were a lot smarter than we actually were, right? And then you get out in the real world and you realize, that all those years of programming, and this includes university, all those years of programming, the big revelation was there is no formula for success. There is none. All through university, all through high school stuff, there are equations, and you're told to work hard. And if you do these things, you will get ahead. You'll get a good job and all those kind of things. And then when you're thrown out into the real world, where that structure, where that artificial structure isn't actually present, and you have to fend for yourself, there's a lot of things going on. Politics creeps in, and different types of biases and glass ceilings and alliances that you have to make, and you have to play games of various kinds in addition to being smart and having the intelligence for the skill sets that you have, all the things that you're programmed with. There's a whole new set of rules that you are then having to conform to. So interesting, how that works, and it's a shock to many.
And so do you agree with the way that the college system is set up today? I mean, is it Is it a good thing? Would you recommend that everybody goes to college? Would you recommend that only certain types of people go to college? What's your thoughts on the
in my
college
in my
situation today?
younger and naive and more programmed days, when I was 21, 22, and I'm in the middle of college and such, I would have said, this is it, this is the way you do it. But I was programmed that way. Today, in my mid 50s, I look back and say, get a skill of some kind. And in fact, it doesn't matter what the skill is. Go to trade school, go and get a degree if you want to get a degree. But ultimately, you're doing it to sharpen your own saw, and whatever that is. And I marvel at the skills of some of these tradespeople and such. They do things that I just have no talent for, but I've got other talents. And ultimately, we all have to find our own path here and create something that we all participate in as well, economically, democratically, all that kind of stuff. So we can't have these little groups of people say, you stay over here, I'll take this all for myself. So I think everybody's got to find their own path, and there's no right way to do it on an education basis for sure.
So I think that's wonderful. I mean, but I really, I mean, because I like what you were saying as far as when you were younger, you were really gung ho about college. And then as you get older, you kind of go, wait a minute, maybe it's not for everybody. And I'm one of those that really believes that college for a lot of people is a complete waste of time. Again, for a lot of people, not everybody. Obviously, if you want to be an engineer, you're going to go to college. If you want to be a lawyer, you're going to go to college. And I always preface it with that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of people get out of college, but they don't know how to communicate with people. They have no sales skills. They have no relationship building skills. So what happens, and I think this is where you come in, is what happens is they have great ideas. They have great products or systems or algorithms or companies that they want to build, but they just don't know how to get along with people. And so a guy like you that teaches people how to communicate, how to tell stories is completely vital to the world, because colleges just, they don't teach this stuff. I don't think my college professor, when I went to college just for a short period of time, I guarantee you, he didn't know how to get along with people. He didn't know how to build any relationships, because I hated the guy. So anyways, elaborate on that, Kurian, for me, please.
Okay, so the elaboration is simply that you got to find your own path. And I have some investments in some companies up here in Edmonton. One of them is a digital marketing firm. We really don't care what your education is. If you have an education, good for you. That's great. But we've actually hired people just with a high school education to do advanced digital marketing. And because they have a clear skill in it, they're self-taught and they get it and they can do it. And I'm not going to wait around for somebody with a master's degree in communications to also acquire these skills. This is a rapidly changing field. Either you can do it or you can't. And one of the things I've also heard about, engineers, for example, and such, ultimately you can get a degree in engineering, but the ultimate test is whether you can do the work. And can you? And it's one thing to have the knowledge; it's the next thing to have the skills, and that's a completely different thing to have the aptitude for it. And so you have knowledge, skills, and aptitude. So you have the knowledge. Can you develop a set of processes for yourself that you can take that knowledge and make it efficient for yourself? But the aptitude part is where genius takes place, where you lift those knowledge and skills to the level of an art. I think Arthur Schopenhauer said it. Genius hits a target no one else can see, and it's a completely different realm of experience. And ultimately, no one knows whether you possess that level of genius until you actually do it.
And really, that's the challenge that I think to so many millions of people, they just don't want to try. They just don't want to give it everything they got for a period of time. I mean, my life changed when I made a decision to do the business that I'm in. My life changed because I made a decision. I could have done 47 different things, but I chose one thing and I made it my life's work to do that one thing. And I think that, and I did go all in, and I was willing to fail. I was willing to, I always told people, I said, look, I mean, the good thing about me going into business on my own is that I get to make it or I get to break it. I get to determine the success or failure. And if I don't quit and I keep, pouring in, I can never really fail if I don't give up. If I don't sell the stock, did I really lose in the stock yet? And so I had that attitude, and I think that's wonderful. You were going to say something though. I think.
Well, what is it? It's amazing what doors spring wide open once you commit, and it's a very scary thing. Commitment is not a step forward; it's a leap across a chasm. So it's always scary at the beginning, but when you look back, you actually did the leap, and other doors spring open. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see that I put up a quote of the week every week based on the book and such, right? And one of my favorite quotes is, "The universe rewards adaptive persistence." And so the preliminary to that, what you have to do before that is commit to that path, and then be able to adaptively persist in that pursuit.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.